I'm going to be the patient, you're going to be the physician here.
Sure.
Okay. My body fat percentage I told you about, it's 24 to 25.
Okay.
And I was 38% before.
Right.
And now, luckily, it came down to 24. But during this time restricted feeding process, the biggest mistake I did was I did not lift weight. So I lost whatever the muscle mass was there.
Yeah.
Not too large to begin with. But I lost that as well.
Okay.
So I want to at least get my body fat percentage to be lower.
Right.
If that is what I want to do, what will be your prescription in terms of workout?
Right. So I would suggest 5 to 6 days of lifting. And if you can do 7 days, that's also perfectly fine. So it's all good. Like on days when you don't want to work out, on days when you don't feel your best, just lower the intensity.
Oh, is that right? I thought on the days you don't want to feel workout, it's okay to sleep.
I mean, people can do that, but that's not something I suggest. I basically tell them, hey, just go to the gym or even at home, just work out every day to some extent. See, on days, we don't skip eating food. We don't skip on our sleep. Why should we skip on our workouts? Right? Some days we sleep less, some days we sleep more. Some days we eat more, some days we eat less. Similarly, some days you work out more, some days you work out less. Where's the skipping part comes in? It does not make sense. Right? So that's why I tell people not to skip. If you can work out 7 days a week, perfectly fine. Just decrease the intensity accordingly. Coming to your workouts, I'd suggest 5 to 6 times a week resistance training. Again, you have to focus on building all the muscle groups, right? Which means that focus on primary exercises should be more compound exercises.
Compound exercises like chest press, bench press.
Yes, bench press, squatting,
deadlift.
If you have a perfect back, healthy back, then sure, deadlift, lunges. There are safer alternatives,
I see.
But up to you.
I see.
All right. So pull-ups, push-ups, all these are good compound movements.
Okay.
So include these. Then comes your isolated movements, which is for your lagging body parts, right? So for example, if you want to focus only on your biceps or you have lagging triceps or you want to focus on your delts, then you can focus on isolated movements. But in general, focus more on compound movements and give enough stimulus to your muscles throughout the week. So a lot of people do the mistake of keeping the volume very less.
Correct.
Which means that they'll do one body part a day and then the next time they will train it is after a week. So what happens is overall volume goes down drastically. And they think that, hey, if I'm training this enough, I'm not feeling sore enough, so I'm not building muscles. So instead of this, I'll go to the gym, do this workout once in a week, and then I'll feel sore, which means muscles are building. It does not work like that. Soreness is just your body's lactate system. So so the more you do it, the body gets more efficient in flushing out your lactate, right? So you have to do the workout more often, expose yourself to more training, increase the volume of training, which means more number of reps, sets. If you can increase the load, even better. So there has to be some sort of progression. Research has found out that the best way to increase your hypertrophy, which is the muscle growth, is by increasing your overall volume. If you want to build your strength, you have to lift heavier. But if you want more muscles, you have to lift more.
More volume. Which means more time in the gym?
If you can reduce the time, it's better. But because then it also aids in other things. Because if you're restricting the time, then it helps you with improvement in your resting heart rate and your VO2 max.
Wait, restricting your time is a time gap in between the sets?
Sets, reps. If you are taking 2 hours to finish a workout, if you can take 1 hour to finish a workout, it is better. Yes.
Okay. So imagine me as I'm a naive person. Okay, I have lifted weights and everything, but not to an extent that I want to. Any person who wants to lift weights, do you suggest them to be supervised by somebody to prevent injury?
Absolutely.
Or how do we start?
If you're doing body weight training, you can do it on your own, perfectly fine. The chances of injury are negligible if you're doing body weight training.
Body weight training means without any weights.
Without any weights. Push-ups, pull-ups, jump squats. Basic exercises. If you're doing calisthenic exercise, you can break yourself there too. So it is extremely important for one to get supervised in basic form of any exercise. If you're doing any weight training exercises, which are not assisted. For example, you have machines, right? So machines are pretty simple to operate. You can read the instructions, you can follow through. But if you're doing something like a squat, which is a very complex movement, or let's say a deadlift, or any sort of complex movements which do not have any assistance, it's much better to seek help of a personal trainer than doing it on your own.
I see.
Yeah, a lot of people do the exercises wrong for years after years after years without realizing that they were doing it wrong.
I'm going to be very honest. Initially, I did not believe in this concept because I went to this US-based gym. 1 hour personal training session was $75.
It's expensive. Yes.
I was like, dude, I might not even come to your gym. Why should I pay $75?
Yeah.
I'll just pay the $15 per month.
Yeah.
And then I'll just do whatever I can.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Third day, I was so motivated. Third day, did the shoulder press. And that's it. Shoulder joint got inflamed.
Yeah.
And then it took 6 weeks for me to recover.
Yeah.
Then the motivation is gone. Then it took 6 months for me to gain the motivation back.
Yeah. So I think one way to avoid this is by restricting yourself to very simple exercises. A lot of people underestimate how effective and efficient it is to just do simpler exercises rather than doing complex exercises. For example, I would never tell anybody to do behind the back your tricep extension or skull crushers. You don't need these complex movements unless you're planning to become a bodybuilder. In that case, maybe you can do all sorts of isolated movements, but in general, 99% of the people will benefit from doing more simpler exercises, which is your squats, push-ups, pull-ups, lunges, maybe basic shoulder press. That's about it.
Wow.
So restrict yourselves to very simple exercises. The more complex they get, the more chances of injury. And then you increase weight there. So it's like, your car, if it goes at 5 miles per hour, if it bangs itself into a wall, nothing happens. You're safe. Goes at 200 miles per hour, the accident is exactly. So with increased load, the chances of injury also goes up.
Wow.
Yeah.